Alright, now I'm back with the new videos for the 2014 NFL Draft. And what I thought were the best jobs done, work put in by the teams that did really well there. First team I'll go in no specific order will be the Baltimore Ravens. Did really good. Started out ramping up that defense finally, getting some placeholders. I don't know if they'll be replacements or they'll exactly fill the shoes of a guy like Ray Lewis or Ed Reed, but to get into it. The first pick, I believe 17th overall, C.J. Mosley, inside linebacker out of Alabama. A guy I had known about, I think probably since he was a freshman or the moment, about 2011 or so. I started really keeping up with college football more than I ever had before. And he's easily the most coveted inside linebacker for a while now, right up there with Monte Te'o the year before. We'll see how he does this year. You also got Timmy Jernigan, a guy who was a first-round prospect at some point. First defensive tackle to be taken early on, some time ago, like with the likes of Will Sutton, eventually Rashid Hageman, a couple other guys there. But he was like the top guy until there became an issue of his consistency, that he can't stay on the field for passing downs or stamina-wise for various reasons. But his team won the championship, and it was like they were taking him 48th out of Florida State. Next pick for the Ravens was their third pick, Terrence Brooks, safety, pick 79th, 79th overall. Good safety. I think he's like 5'11", so not what I prefer in a safety, but definitely a marquee name that I heard about going into the season and didn't do too shabby during. Of course, capping off the year with the championship, of course, with Timmy Jernigan as well. Followed by their fourth pick, Crockett Gilmore, number 99th overall. That's the 99th one out of Colorado State. Good, prototypical size, ability. I'm pretty sure he's more the receiving tight end, as pretty much all the NFL needs to go for these days if you're going to get drafted. You got to be able to receive the ball. There's not so much a blocking, running in the league anymore as it used to be. So definitely one of those sleeper guys. I thought he picked a little high, but gave him depth, of course, behind David Pitta, guys like that. As well as they picked up Owen Daniels from Houston this year. Their next pick was Brent Urban, 134th overall. Defensive tackle and lineman out of Virginia. Big, tall guy. Might have been overshadowed by other guys on the offense side of the ball, like Morgan Moses. But definitely one of those guys who can disrupt protection himself. Big school, big program, so we'll see what happens there with that pick. Their next pick was Lorenzo Taliaferro, if I'm saying that wrong. The 138th overall pick. There's 4 picks later. The Ravens go with him to bolster their running back stable. Of course, behind Ray Rice. You don't need a lot, but they got some young blood in there. Ray Rice has been in the league for a few years already, so we'll see if they'll be able to use him to spell him. Maybe if you get any production out this year, that'd be cool. Then you got John Urschel, 175th overall guard. Out of, I want to say, I'm drawing a blank now, but John Urschel, I think, he came out of Georgia State, excuse me. I want to say he came out of Georgia State, guard. They do need offensive line help, not a lot, because they really got a good offensive line with Marshall Yanda, before Michael Orr, when he was, more serviceable. And they've done enough to win a Super Bowl in the last couple of years. Last year they didn't look so hot, but this year I looked at for them to rebound. Flacco is no bum. He needs, a little bit more maturation out of the guys other than Torrey Smith to receive the ball. He's going to be helped out, of course, with the guys they got like Crockett Gilmore and Owen Daniels. Their next pick was the 194th pick overall, Keith Wenning, quarterback out of Ball State. Didn't think he would get drafted. It was a big, fat draft, and quarterbacks always coming at a premium. People like to pick them high, low. I think he'd have been there after the draft. I'm surprised his leading receiver didn't get picked in the draft itself with Willie Snead, but that's why I'm not the experts on TV. I'm over here. Then you got the final pick, 218th overall, Michael Campanaro out of Wake Forest. I think he was not a very big receiver, but this league's draft this year was pretty big in receivers, pretty deep. So I guess they felt they had to take somebody in the draft. There's plenty of guys, big, fast, all kinds of things they could offer you that were available after the draft as undrafted free agents. But what I really like with the teams did this year, because I knew it was going to happen, they drafted players, and then afterwards they picked up players after the draft as UFAs that weren't drafted, but they should have been drafted over some people who were picked in the draft. Some highlights for them would be Xavier Boyd out of Western Kentucky, Derek Hopkins, the other defensive tackle out of Virginia. Out of Virginia Tech, actually. And then it looks like they had Parker Graham, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma State. I'm surprised he wasn't picked as a tackle, but maybe people weren't impressed with that program's schedule this year. And then you got James Hurst. I think he was like an interior lineman, maybe a tackle is what they're going to take a look at him with. But basically, people say he shouldn't have come in to draft. I think he came out early. As well as I think it was Marcus Martin, and out of USC people say he should have stood in, but those are some experts. Other experts really like James Hurst, but definitely a steal to come out without even having to draft him and paying those stratified minimum salaries depending on what round you get picked. So they got the lowest UFA rate, so we got these guys for bargain basement prices. That's the Ravens 2014 draft. Really awesome draft for them. Even in my team with the Falcons, even though these aren't the exact positions we needed, I take this draft for what we picked. So it's definitely a top draft. I say like an A- draft. It's hard to mess up in this draft because it was so deep. You could just kind of throw darts at a board and get good players this year. But they really knew what they were doing. They had a plan of attack from the beginning, going at defense, inside, outside on the back end with the safety with Terrence Brooks. Really bolstered a lot of guys that need the help. Haloti Ngata, Terrell Suggs, and of course, Darius Webb coming back from those injuries he's been plagued with. So we'll see how they do this year. I'm pretty confident they'll do all right. And then the next video is going to be about the next team. I think got probably like an A- in the 2014 NFL draft, and I'll catch you then.